We got Scott Riggleman joining us.
Hey, Norm.
Norm.
Not gonna get himself set up.
I didn't get no
Or let him do that.
Oh, hi, Hannah.
Hello.
How are you?
You see me?
I want you
Camera's
like your
on that
hand.
Go ahead, Scott. Say hi. Wait.
Scott Riggleman. What's up, Scott?
What's going on?
Scott, I know we've been trying to get you on for a while. We've been going through some growing pains, and then Josh put this all together. I plan on being there. I'm sorry. I'm a little bit under the weather, and I got something else I got to do later. But I'm happy to have you. And, actually, the guys are making fun of me because they say that I get involved in all these things. I have all these events and stuff going on.
No, Josh makes fun of you. I don't make fun of you.
But I feel like that you're the racing equivalent of that. I mean, you were at EMPA. You were at another Champions Awards banquet that you went to after wrapping up another track championship at Wall this season.
Yeah, that was the Checkered Flag Fan Club banquet out in Kutztown, Pennsylvania. I also went to.
Yeah, there's so much going on for you. This past season as a whole, not just at Wall Stadium Speedway, but even in life, being able to race with your wife, Nancy, for the first time this year. Has this been your best racing year ever in your career?
Well, every year it gets better and better, it was a lot of fun this year, with having Nancy race with us and, having two cars. And it was also fun venturing out a little bit and doing some dirt racing, getting back to the Enduro style racing. I really, really enjoyed doing Enduros. I did Enduros with Josh for many years. I actually like the Enduro format better than the regular racing. Josh can even.
I think I agree, other than maybe the 3-wide start.
I love the 3-wide start. I think that it's all about the 3-wide start.
3-wide start.
It didn't work so well in the snow for me. That's why.
I like the 3-wide start. I think it's really cool. And I like no yellows. When we race the regular racing at Wall Stadium and the yellow comes out for a simple spin, I get mad. I'm like, come on, this is why I like Enduros. I hate these stupid spin yellows,
Yes. So I'll tell you, I love the. I miss the Enduros. I wish we could find a way to bring them back. I don't know. There was just something about it. You have to learn to drive them differently. I mean, Scott, you've been doing this for many years. I remember my first Enduro. I had to learn how to pace myself. Was what it came down to. I was used to these 25-lap sprints.
Right, and that's what kind of makes the Enduro more fun too. It's like 25 laps at Wall Stadium. You got to be on the go from the time they change. Throw the green flag into the checker. I mean, you start 16th or something like that, and just 25 laps to get to the front. You got to go the whole time. No time to wait. With the Enduros, you can kind of pace yourself, kick back, relax, have some fun. You can catch a guy, you can work him over for 2 or 3 laps and pass him instead of having to do it right away. You can race with your friend for 10, 15 laps and have some fun with him. That's why we like the Enduro racing so much. And I knew they were probably never coming back to Wall, so I ventured out to Pennsylvania and started doing it on the dirt.
Now, what is your take on that? Because, I mean, for the most part, you're an asphalt guy. But I know you've done Bridgeport and a few other places with dirt. And, I mean, I don't know, how long have you been involved with the dirt racing, or is that relatively new for you?
Yeah, no, it's relatively new. I never really cared about dirt racing that much. I'm an asphalt guy. I always loved the asphalt modifieds. I always loved racing the street stocks on asphalt. Johnny Gasco, who helps me out with the factory stock a little bit, he enjoys the dirt racing. He's the one that got the first dirt Enduro car, and then he didn't show up a couple times to drive the car, so I drove it, and I kind of liked it. And then this year, I had no plans of doing it whatsoever, and Lee Allen called me the day before the first race at Bridgeport. He's like, I got another car. If you can come pick it up and tow it down there and drive it, go ahead and do it. So I went to his house. I picked up the car. It was a great car. We went out there. I finished second with it. And he let me take it home and tweak on it a little bit. I fixed the carburetor on it. We went back the next time, and I won with it. So it was a lot of fun.
Is there anything you can't win?
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Yeah. Well, I can't win Miss Motorsports pageant, but
you haven't tried yet.
No, I haven't tried. Maybe next year.
And Eric, do you have a few questions?
Well, Scott mentioned venturing out, and I think one of the things that we hate to bring up, but we have to when we talk to Scott, is his venture out of the ballpark at the racetrack up in New Hampshire. Scott, first time you ever flipped a car, and it was spectacular.
Yeah, that was, when I raced go-karts when I was a kid, I had a couple flips, but that's pretty common in go-karts. But I've been racing, stock cars for probably 20-some years, and no, I never flipped. A couple bad wrecks at Flemington, but nothing where I rolled over or even got on my side. Went up to New Hampshire to Hudson, and that changed that. That was a pretty violent flip. I was lucky to not get injured from there. It was worse than I did. I did have a couple bruised ribs. I didn't really tell anybody because I had a race wall the next week, but I probably had 2 broken ribs, and my elbow's pretty banged up. But when we went to Wall Saturday, I didn't want to let anybody know about any injuries. I didn't want anybody to say we don't want them racing or anything.
Right.
And it worked out good because we came back a week later at Spooky Spectacular, and we were able to win the race a week later after flipping at Hudson, New Hampshire.
Sorry,
It's
John's photo
John's
bombing
here
us here.
photoing us.
You can say hi to him,
What's
guys.
up, John?
John Lane.
So, anyhow, now, I mean, it looked like I watched your onboard, and you eventually found your GoPro because it did leave the car.
Yeah, it did leave the car. It was actually mounted on the roof. Normally at Wall, Josh knows he takes my videos and puts them onto his videos. I mount the GoPro inside the car so you can see me drive. And this wasn't my car I was racing up at Hudson. It was a guy that lived in New Hampshire named Matt McMahon. He let me drive his car. There was really no bar in his car where I could mount the camera where it was at a good angle. So he had the mount that went on the roof. So I just slid my camera into the mount on his roof. I kind of wish I would have used the roll bar one and set it up somehow because you could have seen what happened to me in the car and the camera would have kept going. Everybody's like, I counted how many times you flipped. I said, well, listen. The camera came off the car, and I kept flipping, so you only counted about half of what happened.
Wow. Now, from my looking at it, from what I know, or what little I know about racing with a stock car as a driver, it looked like maybe you were just a hair loose or just drifted up just a bit high coming off that turn and clipped the tires.
Yeah, it was definitely my fault. The car was actually tight going in, which made it loose coming off.
Looked like push tight.
Yeah, it was push and tighten, exactly right. And we came down with about 5 to go, and if you can see in the video on the left of me, there was a car on the inside of me. He was actually my teammate. The guy I drove for had 2 cars, and he was racing for points. So I wanted to give him plenty of room and not screw him up. But then again, I also wanted to beat him. So he was catching me through the corners, but I was beating him down the straightaway, and I was really just kept looking to my left to make sure I gave him enough room. And before I know, I kept inching closer and closer to the outside, and I just came off the corner one time. I hit the rocks and got the car sideways, and the rear bumper of the car actually caught that tire barrier. And as soon as that happened, I was just along for a ride. It just hooked me back and just flipped me over. I never felt nothing like that in a race car before. There was nothing I could do. I was driving that thing even when I was flipping through the air, and those tires sucked me in. I was along for a ride.
Wow. Now, did the tires cushion anything?
Yeah, the tire wall was a bad thing and a good thing because if it was a concrete wall, I just would have scraped it and kept going,
Yeah.
But if you flip on top of a concrete wall, you're having problems. So I hit the tires, and that's what made me flip. But the nice thing was when I was flipping, it was a cushion. You're rolling on top of a cushion.
Right.
And then when I got off the tires, I was in brush, trees and branches. They were coming in the car. The front of my helmet was all scraped up from the branches.
Wow.
I had, good thing I had the visor down, and the visor didn't come up. But to tell you the truth, the scariest part of the wreck was, other than having to call Nancy and tell her what happened, was the car never shut off,
Right.
So now I'm flipped upside down in the woods at a racetrack where I didn't even see an ambulance when I pulled into place,
Oh, jeez.
and the motor's screaming. I mean, screaming. And I'm like, now I'm thinking, oh, my God, we're going to catch fire here. The gas is going to start leaking out of the carburetor. The motor's running. The motor's hot. We're going to catch fire here. This is bad. It's not my car, so now I'm looking around for the kill switch inside the car as I'm upside down. Luckily, I was able to find the kill switch, and I got the car off, and the safety crew there was good. They were really good. I know we always praise Wall Stadium. Wall Stadium has a very good safety crew, and I know all the safety crew at Wall Stadium, so it's good to know everybody by a first-name basis. A lot of them I grew up with in Farmingdale. Up there, I'm a total stranger. These people are total strangers. I don't know anybody. I know one person there. My uncle went with me, and that was about it. But they were great. They got to me instantly. They helped me out of the car. They got me into the ambulance. They had a whole protocol to check me out when I was in the ambulance. They checked my helmet. They checked everything. They were really, really good.
That's awesome. I mean, considering, like you said, you're not seeing an ambulance, not knowing what you're going to get into, that's great to hear that they were able to respond that quickly.
Yeah, they were there right away. I mean, about the time I got my senses and got the car shut off, you can even hear in the camera. And I know the camera's laying in the woods and it's far from the car, but you can hear them screaming, "Are you okay? Say something, say something."
Yeah.
And tell you the truth, I could have probably said something sooner when they were asking me, but I wasn't sure if I was all right. You know? I really needed a moment to myself. First, I'm mad I wrecked. Josh raced with me 100 times. I barely wrecked equipment. I felt bad for the guy that invited me up to drive his car, and I destroyed it on him. All these thoughts are going through my head. I'm just like, oh, my God, I just wrecked this guy's car. He's going to kill me. And
priorities.
Yeah, priorities. But believe it or not, the car wasn't that bad. When I got out of it, I looked at it because I kind of wanted to tell Matt when I got back in the pits, hey, dude, your car's destroyed. But I got looking at it. I almost had an Earnhardt moment for a second there.
You want to get back?
Hey, flip that thing back over. Let's go again. But the body completely ripped off. They have no weight rule up there, so they all run these real white, light, aluminum, thin sheet metal bodies, just bolted on by little mounts. Nothing stock mounted like we have at wall. No stock firewall, stuff like that. So the hood was just a piece of aluminum. The trunk lid was a piece of aluminum. It came apart like a late model body where the bodies just rip apart easily.
Okay. But I mean, overall, you were okay. It turns out. I mean, after you had your moment, really, other than the bruising and whatnot.
Like I said, I probably had a couple broke ribs. I never went to the hospital. They don't do nothing for ribs anyway, so I just put an ace bandage on it for a while. My ribs hurt for a while, but they feel good now. My elbow got nicked up pretty good. But I was fine. It was. You got to remember now I'm 6 hours away from home still. I still got to drive home yet.
Yeah.
We were the first.
Now, Scott,
go ahead.
I was going to say, you mentioned, the toughest thing you thought was going to be having to call Nancy and tell her what happened. But I think I remember you telling me somebody might have beat you to the punch on that one. Was that true?
Yeah. I mean, I raced up there once before with the Enduro car. I actually raced up there twice before with the Enduro cars. And I met this kid, John Foltz, that lives up there. And we became friends with him on Facebook. He actually bought his car to Evergreen for an Enduro one time. We sponsored him a little bit of fuel money to make it down from New Hampshire to come race. And we became friendly with him and his family. And when the wreck happened, he was there racing a 4-cylinder division, so he was there watching me race. So he actually messaged Nancy on Facebook and said, "Hey, Scott just got in a bad wreck, but he's okay. He's in the ambulance now." But she still didn't really know what was going on because no one knew. They had me in the ambulance and they were checking me out.
Wow.
That's unbelievable, especially because you guys have been so close throughout this whole thing. Of course, remember Nancy running the Powder Puff races, and then you guys made a decision in the off-season run full-time. And the storyline of the racing husband and wife is so fun to follow, at least from my perspective, because I just get to talk about it. But for you, that was 2 cars you had to work on all season long, plus the traveling that you were doing. Is that a load that you want to bear again next year, or does Nancy want to come back, try to run a little bit stronger? Do you guys know what you're doing in 2018 just yet?
Yeah, I mean, our 2018 is pretty much going to look like our 2017. We're going to run both cars again. I'm going to give her a little more this year. I think she did a great job. I'm going to put more gear in the car for her. We had 390s in her for last year. I'm going to give her the 410s this year and see if she likes them. I'm also going to go. I just run the 3-inch offsets on her cars. I'm going to put 2-inch offsets on her car all the way around, widen the car up a little bit for her and get it a little more stable for her. And I'm still going to do the dirt enduros when I get a chance. So, yeah, it's going to be busy. It's going to be 2 cars full-time at Wall and my dirt enduro stuff.
Now, as far as your career goes, we talk about all the accolades, the track championships at Wall. Yeah, I mean, Scott, you're a really well-known Northeastern racer, and I'm not sure if you're necessarily aware of that, but you are. But for you personally, is there anything you're striving for that you haven't done yet? Are you content with running the type of cars that you have, or do you still have bigger aspirations?
No, I'm 44 years old. I'm going to be 45, so I'm not delusional. I don't think Rick Hendrick's going to be calling me or anybody like that. I mean, he can if he wants. If his car breaks down, I could go tow it for him or something. But I don't have no delusions like that. I mean, a personal dream that I kind of keep a secret from everybody. A big dream of mine is to run the ARCA race at Pocono one year. I don't know if I'll be able to afford it. I have a couple offers. It was bring money to the table type deals. I do have friends that work in the ARCA series, and will that ever happen someday? Maybe not. I don't know. But that is a lifelong dream I have if I ever come into a little bit of money, and I'd love to put a deal together where I can race the the ARC race at Pocono. Other than that, I'm fine just doing what I'm doing. I have been kicking the idea around again, maybe running in Josh's favorite division, the sportsman division, only because I lost all this weight now and I can fit back into a modified, no problem. I actually had a ride lined up last year, and I could have drove quite a bit sportsman last year, but then Diane had that crazy rule where you couldn't run more than one division. I would have had to give up my status with the factory stock, and I didn't want to do that.
Right. Now, did Daytona do anything for you?
When I did the test.
Well, you did that.
The Richard Petty driving experience. Listen, I've been racing all my life, and a lot of people said, if you go to that Petty driving experience, you're not going to like it. You know, you've been in a race car, and it's going to be nothing for you. It's just for fans in the stands that want to come out and do it. Let me tell you something. I did that. I freaking loved it, man. It was awesome. It just to be out on that track and just to experience it. And I tell you what, those school cars, they go pretty good,
Yeah.
And just to hold it wide open and go around that track, it was a lot of fun. If you ever have the time and money to do it, definitely go do it. I mean, it is expensive. Don't get me wrong. I think it costs us like $800 or $900 to do that.
Wow.
But we were there on our honeymoon. So Nancy bought it for me for a wedding gift, and that's why we did it. But it was a blast. It is expensive. I used to work at the Stock Car Racing Experience at Pocono, so I have a lot of experience on a 2.5-mile track. But to go on Daytona where you can hold it wide open was pretty cool. If I was ever to do anything like that again, I would like to try Indy. I think that Indy would be the next one I would like to go try. Just a way with those driving experiences, it's a way to go to other racetracks and try different stuff. So I think they're great. I mean, I really do.
Oh, that's awesome. I loved watching the video of you doing
that. And for another $99, you can buy a video. I mean, they get you coming and going there, But yeah, I mean, if you ever do it, definitely buy the video because you already spent $800 to go there. What's another $99 and it lasts a lifetime?
Exactly.
Then all your friends can see. There's still times today. I mean, that was 3 years ago or something like that. I still watch it every once in a while. It's definitely cool,
No, that's one. I wish I could have put that into one of our videos or one of the factory stock.
Yeah,
videos.
that'd be cool. Yeah. Sneaking in, hey, what's that guy doing on that track? But no, that was definitely cool.
Yeah, I would love to do that. That might be the only reason I ever go to Florida.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just alligators and old people, I think.
Speaking of Florida, I'm going back to Bronson this year with the factory stock. I went last year. The only reason I went was because we had the brand new car done. And it was just sitting there, and I wanted to try it before Wall came around. And they had a race down there, and the modifieds were going to be there. And I'm like, well, let me see what their other divisions are. And they had a pure stock division. So I looked at their rules, and they were pretty close to what we run at Wall. I mean, they were allowed 4 barrels. They were allowed aluminum intake, but the stock aluminum intake, not like an Elderbrock Performer or anything like that. And they were allowed locked rears. I said, well, I don't care about that. I'll run my 2-barrel, my cast iron intake, and I'll just leave the rear open. I basically taken the car down there and shake it down to get it ready for Wall. The track was very similar to Wall. It was high banked, but a little bit bigger than Wall, though.
Okay.
And so we went down there, and we had a lot of fun. But when I got there, I looked around, and I said, well, that car is not a pure stock. It's got headers on it. Then another car goes by. I'm like, well, that car can't be a pure stock. It's got headers on it. So then I asked the tech guy, I said, why these cars got headers on it? He's like, oh, we changed that rule. I said, well, it's not in the rule book. I said, I looked at the rules before I drove down here. He's like, oh, yeah, we changed the rule. We just never changed it in the rule book. I'm like, oh, man. So I was down there racing against cars with headers and stuff. But so this year we put headers on the car. We spent the last couple of weeks at night working on the car. I did lock the rear to go down there this year, so I'm going to have the posi rear this year. We did put headers on it, 3-inch exhaust, so I think that's going to help me compete a little bit better with those guys. And so I just got to finish up a few odds and ends on it, and we're going to rescale the car. I'm going to take it down there again this year. The race is February 10th and February 11th. They're actually giving us 2 races down there this year. Mm-hmm. So I'll drive down there February 8th, which is a Thursday. It's a 900-mile trip one way. It took us 19 hours to get there last year. And it was a 20-lap race on a 3/8 mile track. I think someone figured it out. They came over and said, do you realize you just drove 900 miles to race 9 miles? I said, yeah. So what's wrong with that? So this year I talked to the lady. I said, listen, I noticed you have a race on Sunday. Ann Young's the woman's name that runs the racetrack. I said, you guys race on Sunday too. Is there any way you can add a race for the pure stock so I can drive all the way down here and get the race twice? And she did. She really. Wow. So she added 2 races. So now I get to go down there and I get to race Saturday and Sunday. And right away, as soon as Nancy found out there was a race on Sunday, she's like, well, why don't you drive Saturday night and I'll drive the car on Sunday? I said, I don't know, we'll see. But
Can you put a trailer on the back of your
yeah,
flatbed?
I can put it. Now I'm dragging 2 cars all the way down the floor. But no, we're going to go do that again, just go have some fun. I met the guys that raced down there in Florida. They were a good bunch of guys, just like at most tracks. Josh will tell you, in racing you meet a lot of great people, and it's fun racing with people. And they kind of opened with open arms down there, and they started, sure enough, as soon as January came, they started messaging me on Facebook and asked me if I'm coming back. And so yeah, I'm going to go back down there.
That's awesome.
Sure.
I'm looking forward. Now, if we can just get that on MAV TV or something, I think we'd be all right. As TJ is taking a purse for something. Is that your accent piece for the Miss Motorsports pageant?
Yes, it must be. It's part 1.
Hey guys, I got to get going. I got to go 2 to 4. I got to do the interview process.
No problem.
The reason I'm here is because I'm judging Miss Motorsports, so that's pretty cool.
You got the opportunity. That's the opportunity you've been waiting for.
Awesome.
I'll stop by after the from 2 to 4. I could do like a question and seminar or
Scott,
something like that.
You're going to make one woman happy, and you're going to have 18 of them mad at you. I hope you're ready.
Well, I'm glad to see Casey doing it. It's great to have a girl that actually races being in the pageant, and I'm definitely looking forward to see how many other girls that are truly involved in racing here, doing the pageant. So it'll be a lot of fun, and it's great to see that you guys are here with your broadcast, and I finally got on, I don't know, Josh. I was told I was going to be on the first show after the new year, and it kind of never happened.
It's all on Eric. We're like, hey, are we having Scott come on this week? Because I don't know. I got stuff going on.
I feel like Eric's breaking up with me. It's like I haven't heard from him.
Eric has a default.
You're not the only one, Scott.
I think Eric has a default text that says, I'm not sure I have stuff going on.
Hey, quick question, though. Eric, now that Wall has announced that they're opening it back up, any news on you? Are you coming back to the track? Or are you going to be there announcing?
I don't know yet. I don't know if I'm coming back yet. I don't know if we're getting fired. I don't know what's happening.
No phone call. You weren't the first phone call. I thought as soon as they signed the lease, they'd be like, we better get Eric Brennan back. We better call him right away.
You did win the Thanks for Participating award last year.
I know. That's the only trophy I ever got, too.
All right, guys, I'll be back in a little bit. I got to run over there.
All right, thank you, Scott. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much. Once again, Scott Riggleman, factory stock champion at Wall Stadium Speedway this past season, multi-time winner at numerous tracks, multi-time champion at Wall Stadium Speedway, and we finally got him on the RPM podcast. And now, as we know, he's going to be one of the esteemed judges for the Miss Motorsports competition. That's a lot of pressure. I don't know if I can handle that.
Yeah, I didn't know about that until literally just now.
I knew when we did the Matheny fundraiser and Scott was there. In fact, Scott was the designated driver, and I'm not just talking about like a regular sedan. Like Scott got like a 16-passenger van, like Sam's family's daily driver with all the kids that they have in the ballot house. He ended up getting one of those and driving everybody around, and him and Nancy were going back and forth because Nancy's like, I want to judge Miss Motorsports, and Scott's like, no, I've been dreaming about this forever, and they went back and forth on it for a little while. So it's cool he's got the chance to do it.